All right, welcome everyone. Today we're going to do a little bit of an introduction and we're going to talk about properties of matter. So, first things first, if you need to get to my website, I will link to it in the Google Classroom. But if you ever need to get to it, you're going to go to the address bar. Now, if you try to Google me, nothing's going to happen because I'm not famous. So, if you Google Tyler Maxwell, you're going to get, I think it's some hockey player. So, to get to my website, you have to actually type in the address. So it's www.myname, no spaces, tylermaxwell.co. No M, right? Just co. / chemistry. Okay, that'll take you to my website. Everything you need will be here. So resources, that's just any handouts I give in class. So today we're going to be doing composition of matter. So we have the Spanish version and the English version. I'm going to focus on the English version. So if you need this, you can download it here. If you click this on the right, you can't see my cursor, but if you on the right hand side, there's a download button. It'll ask if you want to download it to your computer, or if you're on one of the Chromebooks, you can download it to your drive. Okay, so going back to the website, the lectures will be here. So under chemistry or AP chemistry, depending on which section you're in, this is a chemistry video. So we're going to go to chemistry, and we're going to go to Unit 1, properties of matter. Okay, so select properties of matter. Let me make it full screen. So we're going to go through this. Basically, it's a slide presentation. You can go forward with the arrow keys on your keyboard, or you can click down here on the bottom. There's a little jumping arrow you can see. So if you click that, it's going to take you to the next slide. If you click the back arrow, take you back, or you can use your keyboard. Okay, so now I'm using my keyboard going back and forth. So properties of matter. We are going to be filling out the notes handout. So if I go to the notes handout, this is it. Zoom in a little bit. Okay, so we're just going to go through. We're not going to go through the whole thing. We're going to go through part of it. But we're going to fill in the blanks as we go along. So the first one, matter is made of blank that cannot be broken apart. So in the slide presentation, first part, matter is made of blank that cannot be broken apart. So matter is made of atoms. Everything is made of atoms. You're made of atoms. I'm made of atoms. Everything's made of atoms. Okay, so back in our handout, we are going to fill in the first blank with atoms. Okay, so going forward, we have atoms. Atoms are mostly blank space, but inside the atoms, there are three kinds of particles. So atoms are mostly empty. Okay, so going back to our handout, atoms are mostly empty. Okay, see the atom here, the nucleus is here. Most of the atom is all this empty space out here. The electrons are floating around the nucleus, but most of it's empty. Electrons are real tiny. Okay, so the three particles, we have protons and neutrons in the nucleus of the atom, and then these electrons are hanging out around the outside of the nucleus. Okay, so we have protons, neutrons, and electrons are outside. Okay. Okay, so here we have an example. We have two atoms here. We have oxygen and hydrogen. So in your handout, scroll down to examples of atoms. So what we have here is hydrogen. Hydrogen has one proton. That's what makes it hydrogen. If you had two protons, you would have helium. And so we're going to fill in the blanks here for all of these items. Okay, so this arrow here is pointing to the electrons. The electrons are these blue spheres that are orbiting the atom. Okay, so here we have an electron. And we have an electron up here. Okay. These arrows, it's kind of hard to tell, but this arrow is pointing to the nucleus. Okay, so back in the slide, we can see nucleus. So N. Okay. This one here, we're pointing at protons. So the orange balls are protons. And then the gray balls are neutrons. Okay, so back to the diagram, we have the hydrogen with the 1 proton, oxygen has 8, and then the electrons, neutrons, and the nucleus. Okay, so moving on, we have, going back to our handout, we have the blank of an atom is almost all in the protons and neutrons in the nucleus. So the mass of an atom is almost all in the protons and neutrons. So the mass. Okay. Electrons comparatively have a very small mass. So electrons have a very small mass compared to the protons and neutrons. A proton and a neutron both weigh about 2,000 times the mass of an electron. So their electrons, when we're talking about the mass of an atom, are almost nothing. Okay, so we have electrons have a very small mass. And what is the unit of mass? Okay, so mass and weight, don't get confused with mass and weight. When we're talking about mass, we're talking about how much stuff is in something. So the mass, the unit of mass we're going to use is the kilogram. Okay, so kilogram. A kilogram is roughly 2.2 pounds. Okay. So now we're going to talk about the charge on particles. So protons have a blank electric charge and electrons have a blank electric charge. So protons are positive. I think of it like the first couple letters of the word proton. Pro meaning you're for something. If you're pro Dodgers, means positive. You feel positive about the Dodgers. And then electrons, it's not really a good way to remember it, but just know that electrons are negative. We're going to be dealing with electrons so much you'll just know the electrons are negative. Okay, so protons have a positive charge and electrons have a negative charge. That leaves neutrons. What are neutrons? So this one I think is easy to remember. Neutrons have a neutral electric charge. The first couple letters of the word neutron, can't get it to highlight, but anyway, the N-E-U-T-R, N-E-U-T-R, the first several letters of both words are the same. So neutrons have a neutral electric charge. Okay, so we're going to stop there because next thing we're going to be talking about is when atoms come together. So just as a refresher, atoms, mostly empty space. All of it's in the nucleus. We have 3 subatomic particles. We have electrons, protons, and neutrons. Okay, protons have positive charge, electrons have negative charge, and neutrons are neutral. All right, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.